I never liked this album much. It always seemed to be too touch.
Today we're going to be learning John Mayer's City Love, the live version from the Any Given Thursday DVD concert. So right off the top, we're taking our low E, tuning it to a low D. This is in drop D tuning. And get ready, like so many other Mayer songs, to transition your pick between your thumb and fingers for picking to the middle of your hand here, so you can use your bare fingers to do some of the solo stuff. And then switch right back into the pick. So that's a big kind of part of it as well. We have a Telecaster here with a fairly funky sound with, I got delay on it for the... Probably too much, but it sounds so good for these Mayer chords. This guitar has a brass nut as well, so it sounds beautiful on the open voice. Let's take the delay off for instructional purposes. So right off the top, even before he gets going, he does a little jazzy, just with the fingers. So we've got our pick stowed between the, I keep mine between the second and the third. He keeps his between the first and second. Don't ask me how he does that, I find that hard. And he does this little jazzy thing off the top, even before the song starts, probably to get his notes so he can sing and play at the same time. So looking at the tab on screen, it's a bunch of two-note chords, some slid. In order to get the speed he gets live just at the beginning, use your first two fingers here. Anchor your palm against the side of the guitar and just rip into it as fast as you can. Fast as you can cleanly. And then starting into the song itself, we're going to switch to our first finger and thumb because there's a couple open strings in there. And it sounds like this. I don't know if you noticed the transition into the pick for the first chord. So the first part's played, and this is the only time he does this with the fingers. So you got to do the switch. How you do it is less important as doing it on beat. So I tend to switch a bit early. In that case, for the note on the 7th fret of the D, I switch to the pick and all ready. Other times, I'll strum the first chord with my thumb and then switch to the pick there. Whatever's easy for you, practice it. Just make sure it's on beat. So let's look into that thing he does while he's singing. I never liked this album much. Series of two-note chords. First time with these little open strings. Like that. That's all we got going. And he kind of just follows the vocal line. I never liked this album much. Let's talk about that rhythm. This is what he does live in this version of the song, and one of the reasons I like it so much. The studio version is a fairly boring live version. Let's look at that chord. I'm not going to tell you the names of them, although this is a fairly easy G major 7. Later on, we get these crazy, you know, D at 11, 9, augmented 13, whatever. So let's just talk about the shapes for now. So this first shape, and I'm going to sometimes refer to them as a D5, A5, D4. That's talking about these strings as their open note qualities here. The D, A, D, G, B, E. So if I go high E12, I mean the 12th fret of the high E. Sometimes I'll just call them out as a stack. 5, 5, 4. And then open. That's what this chord is. And the rhythm is... Let's analyze that. So down, muted upstroke, sounded downstroke. So we have this down, muted up, down, lasts a bit long, and we have a muted down and up, and this open D slide. slow enough. In the tab I've indicated the up and downs. And then we go back into that. And that is a second variation on that chord where we're just dropping off the initial 5th fret. So we have an open 5, 4. We do the same rhythm. And I'm worried about these little run-ups. They tend to start off pretty 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He kind of doubles up the notes on the way down. This is what I'm trying to get across here. Like that. You'll notice that later on when he gets a bit liberal with the tune. So they almost always start a single 1, 2, 3, and it's like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like that. So we're doubling up on the way down. One thing I want to draw attention to, this part here. You're always starting with the chord first. So be aware of that. They all start with. That's the beginning of the phrase. Let's play through that slow. So starting with the fingers. Pick, switch. Run up with the pick this time. New chord. And we're getting into something different. After that, we do this. Series of double stops, starting on the A5 and the D4. We slide up to 7. The shape slides up to 7 and 5, to 9 and 7, back to 7 and 5. In this rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we end off like that. And then we go into the chorus. So the chorus chords, let's look at the shape there. We have a 3, 3, 2, and then open. Now John Mayer strums this different every single time he plays it. The tab that I've indicated is what he does that time he did that one live show. But you can get away with something like this. Like that. Down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. Like that. And then we slide up to this interesting chord which might require some homework. So to fret that chord, we have our thumb on the D8, and then we have our second finger on the A8, first finger on the D7, pinky on the 10, on the G and B. And work on this chord because it comes into play later. So let's look at that. So switching from this bottom chorus, chord for the chorus. So let's do the rhythm slowly. Changing it up a bit. And then just to end off the chorus, we slide that shape up to the 10th fret. Slide it down to the 5th fret, back to the 10th, back to the 5th, and then open D, and we're done. So we've gone through the first verse and the chorus. Let's take it from that Let's look at that part. So that happens at the end of the chorus going into the next verse. We hit the low D and then bar the 7th fret from the A7 down. We go slide it up 2 frets like that. Then we start all over again with what we've already played. This is the verse that starts. She keeps her toothbrush at my place, as if I had the extra space. So these 2 little licks come off the second verse. So we start it like normal. She keeps her toothbrush at my place, and the lick is. Like that. She keeps her toothbrush at my place. And then start over again. As if I had the extra space. That's a bit stranger. So we do this, that 0-5-4 chord we find in the verse. We go like that, and then do a series of barring the 7th fret, and then hammering on to a, starting from the 4th string, 7, 9, 8, 7. Like that. Let's take that one again. As if I had the extra space. Just loosely bassed like that. Let's take those 2 slow. She keeps her toothbrush at my place, as if I had the extra space. Let's try that even slower so you can actually learn it. That was a bit too fast. She keeps her toothbrush at my place, as if I had the extra space. Like that. Afterwards, the verse goes in normally. She stays like this too well, too well. Same old chords. Back into the chorus. So that part we've learned already. The change up or bridge features some nice kind of covered in rain chords. These are the chords, I'll just read them out to you. We have a 1, mute, and then we have a 3, open, 3. It sounds like, where have we heard that before? Covered in rain. So we do this. Slide the whole thing up to the 8th fret. And then with our pinky, we're going to slide the B string shape from the 10th fret to the 11th fret, and then back to the 10th fret. So it sounds like. So the day she come up and came to me, covered in rain. He even says it, that he's stealing it from Covered in Rain. Dinner time, shadow wind, So that's the rhythm. More or less like that. So let's get that one down. The day was cold and then came to me, covered in rain, daytime shadowing, and as I closed my spirit, and I knew I was through. So there we do a G minor, and instead of doing a G minor like this, remember we have a drop D, so we got to get a note on the D5 here. So we actually do this. So you have our thumb on the D5, mute the A. We have our third finger on the D5, and then bar at the third fret, all the other ones. As our close spun, hit this open A into a C, we spoon, and I knew I was through, back to that initial chord with the root on the first fret. When I said I loved you, like that, so. That. Let's just go over that close spun. So do that. Spoon. And I knew I was through when I said I loved you. And we're starting that run up thing. And he actually stops there. There's a gigantic pause, and then we move into the solo. The solo begins in measure 32. Let's look at the first three measures. We have our pick stowed away between our fingers because this is all finger picked, and it really lends itself to some of these two-note kind of hammer-on chords played with the first two fingers and the thumb hitting the open D a lot, as you'll see. Almost country-like. And some of these phrasings and note choices are so unusual, I have to think he's worked some of it out. One more time. And I'll go through it one more time slower, and I'll point out some things I like. I love these chord snatches. I love the fact that this ends on an open D. And this part is beautiful. One more time. So we're hammering on, we're actually fretting the 12th fret of the D here. Moving on to this. So very cool. Moving on to measure 35, we have this neat thing. Moving into the pick to do the last bit to end off measure 35. So we have this very long kind of 2-fret spanning chord. Very odd. Open D here. Slap. So going from the open D to its octave on the 12th fret. Switching to the pick to do these two notes to end it off. Let's look at measures 36 to 38. Coming off that last, when we grab the pick, we do the last pick notes of the phrase. 36 starts like this. One more time, and I'm going to do the last two notes of measure 35. So again, I really like the some of the use of the open strings. Open G here, and then the reverse rakes. Measure 39 has some nice rakes and some reverse muted up rakes. So we're raking down into the 12th fret of the high E, picking it, ending on 10 with some vibrato. Then we do a reverse muted rake, like that sounds bad, like this, and then raking downward into the next 12th fret of the B, and that's just a bend and release. Same thing, raking into the 9th fret at the G string, another reverse rake, 10th fret of the B. So I kind of use my second finger and fret them both, hit the B10 twice, and then vibrato, shake, bend that G10. Measures 40 and 41 are where things get jazz crazy. It's at this point you realize that John Mayer has some chops from some pretty interesting styles that we don't always get to hear him play. I have to think that some of that has worked out or go-to places, because I've never played some of these areas on the neck before. Slow. I missed one of those bars. Alright, so the things I like about it, we're barring the 7th fret here on the G and D strings, upstroke on the G7, slide the D7 up to the 9, bend the G9 up, and then our pinky comes over to the B10, back to the 9, and we pedal on the 8. Pedaling is going between two notes, descending often on one of them. And the hard part I had here was getting that pinky there. So I made a little exercise so I could land the B where I wanted, because you can't land it flat, because then you can't pedal on the 8. So you got to land it pointy like. The next bit has a nice slide up. Then we just lay the finger down to the two middle strings at the 12th fret, then bar the G and B at the 10th fret, back to the 12th fret, two notes here, and there. Then we have a pull off, and then a couple slides. So the first slide is the 3rd finger, then we fret the A with the 1st finger, and then we slide the 1st finger down to the 5th. Then that leaves our 2nd finger in line with the 6th fret on the B. Hit that twice, and then a bar at the 7th. And we end like that. One more time, slow. This part is really nice. Now I'm going to try to add that to my improvisational catalog. Very simple, very jazzy sounding. Measure 42 coming off this in the last measure starts like this. So, measure 42, we have this. We're doing a hammer-on, two-note hammer-on chord from G5 and B5 to 7 and 7. But then we're coming back immediately and striking another chord, like a minorish sounding one. So we're hammering on 5-5 to 7-7, and then coming back with 7-6-5. Weird. And then we slide it up 2 frets before going into some single note stuff. All right. Here we're hitting all 3 notes on the 12th fret, bottom 3 strings, upstroke muted, and then downstroke on the 10, upstroke on the 12, and then a hammer-on from the G9 and the B10 over to the G11 here. So down on the 10 here, up on the 12, and then come back downstroke on the hammer-on. And then a series of chords that we're all perfectly lined up for now. And the chords are like this. And the chords are starting out with the shape 12, 11, 10 to 12, 9, 10. And then we do 11, 9, 10 and back to 12, 9, 10. So it sounds like this. And then we take our 3rd finger, put it on the 11th. And then back on the pinky here for the 12. From the top. Then we start some tremolo picking on the G string. So we're doing a broom handle grip, kind of loose, and we're only striking this G string, and the downstroke, it's downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, then you repeat that. Downstroke, up, down. So down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. And the frets are 7, 9, 5, 4, 12, 10, 9, 7. One more time. 7, 9, 5, 4, 12, 10, 9, 7. Before going into some bar chords here at the 7th and 9th. And some upstrokes. And keying in on this D9 upstroke rig. And then this hammer-on from the A7 to the A9. And then the D7. In this last part we have a which is just following the B minor pentatonic. We're coming up to the A and D string for that. We're kind of hitting 2 strings every time we do that. One more time from the top. And that that is finishing off the solo. After that, we go into the softer Friday night we've been drinking, and the rhythm is more like the studio version. There's none of this sliding. And we have a nice part where we accent this run-up thing. Take it a bit further. So let's just go into that third verse. And we do this. So just follow the shapes. The shapes are all strung in an order. Let's call this the short one, the 5 and the 4. And the next one is a long one. 7 and a 5, long one, 7, 5. You can actually carry it all up on the neck if you know the order of the shapes. It's a great songwriting tool. But in this case, we're going. Call each other up when we get home. This is very soft, falling asleep to the sound of silence. And there we're just arpeggiating that first chord. And then at this point, he does something interesting. He plays a new chord. We're up here, and this chord is at, starting on the A string, we have an 8, we have a 10, we have a 9, and then barred 8. It's an F chord, and he does this. He kind of hyper arpeggiates it. And then he switches to the second chord up here. And he goes back down low to the original chorus chord. So we're in the part now where he's like, found it in America. And I said Canada because that's where I am. Let's just take it from that part. Sound of silence. After a couple more lyrics where we're just going before he does that slightly different ending. So that's an open D, the same run up we're used to. We're almost doing an A chord, barring here the 7th fret, and then a D5 power chord. And there she goes. That about does it. Hope you enjoyed it. Here's the Easter egg on the back of the video. I sometimes get asked in emails about the guitars I use, and in this case, this is my Warmouth guitar that I built in 2001. And when I say built, I didn't cut down any trees. I basically bought a laser cut neck and a bird's eye maple neck and a quilted maple telly body that I was reasonably sure was going to fit together. And then I sourced all the hardware, some locally, and slapped it together in the configuration I liked. It's got one volume knob, and it's actually a double pot. So there's 2 turning knobs on there. Top one's treble, bottom one's volume. You can see 2 toggle switches on there. I like on-offs for the pickups, so I can have them both on at the same time or both off. It's an old Eddie Van Halen thing. And what you do to spray finish it is you put 2 hunks of wood in the neck pocket and one hunk of wood in the neck pocket, the other one on the neck itself. And you can actually hold these and turn them around as you spray them with a can of nitrocellulose that you buy from Lee Valley Tools. And then you can jam it under your workbench and it can dry, and you can repeat the process and then sand it using various types of sandpaper, going finer and finer each time before you get to a final rub out. Now the neck itself is an SRV neck, Stevie Ray Vaughan, so it's kind of a half heart shape. And I wanted a neck that was different from the standard ones I had in my collection in order to train my hand to be a bit better on other guitars. I'm a player that when I'm playing someone else's guitar, I tend to suck a bit because I'm just so used to that Ibanez Wizard neck or your standard thin Fender. So this was that was the plan, to get my hand used to different guitars and be a better overall player. It's also a compound radius neck, meaning it's 10-inch radius down by the nut, and it balloons up to 16. So it's much flatter the higher you get up. When you're playing up high, it really makes a difference. You don't notice it unless you know it's there, but when you go between guitars, you can kind of find the difference. It's a lot easier to play. The pickups are Seymour Duncan at Nashville 5.2 Telly pickups in the neck and bridge, and I wanted a studio country guitar. That's what I was going for. And as you can hear in the video, it sounds beautiful to my ears. And the reason that is after 10 years of it sitting in its case, I think I mentioned I built it in 2001, the week of 9/11, as it happens. I had a local luthier named Modesto put a brass nut on it. Now the brass nut I bought back in 2001, but I was too chicken to cut it. I practiced on about 3 or 4 bone nuts and plastic nuts and pre-slotted nuts, and I'm not good at it. I don't have a lot of experience. So here's a tip to you guys that are amateur guitar builders or assemblers. If you get out of your wheelhouse with something like the nut, take it to a pro. You'll be playing your guitar faster than doing it yourself. Definitely try it yourself if you want to aim for that down the road. But once this brass nut went on there, changed the game. I was actually thinking of selling this guitar because I wasn't playing it, but as you can hear in the video, it sounds so wonderful anytime it gets near an open string. And it was actually held up at the border. Nothing got through for about a month. So I finally got it in October sometime and slapped it together at that time. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I will definitely be using it in other videos.